Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today we're doing another figure comparison. Today we're doing a figure comparison between the Playmates Shin Godzilla V1 versus the NECA Shin Godzilla. This is a bootleg, but it's close enough to the original and I refuse to buy it for the prices it's going for nowadays. So with that being said, I wanted to do this for quite a while, and I think I did this with the Atomic Blast version, but I never got the original up until now. So what we're going to be doing here is again doing another category things: skeleton paint, articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. And yeah, we're just going to pretty much be going through the notions again. You know how the game is played, so let's go ahead and do it. First of all, when we go to the sculpt and paint of both figures, I'm going to say, and obviously confirm, both of them used the same mold. That being, again, the NECA Shin Godzilla base mold. But at the same time, the Playmates actually kind of modifies it in a lot of interesting ways. Interesting. Actually, it's still interesting, so I don't really think I need quotations. But as you can see, the heads on both figures are definitely the same mold, but they're very different. See, the NECA has a much more defined mold because it is the original. It's a lot more detailed and it's a lot better painted, having like a lot of red splotches around the head, much better painted teeth, and of course the gums, and of course the dorsal fins having a lot more red than its Playmates counterpart. While the Playmates simplifies that, having a bigger eye, oatmeal for teeth, and red for the gums. Although it just looks like it also actually they took out the membrane that the original NECA Shin Godzilla had, as opposed to just keeping that in, which I do find a little interesting. But it also gets rid of a lot of the red and kind of does something interesting with the joints. See, I'm getting into the articulation here for a bit. It's on a ball joint, but when you pose it upward, it actually like extends upward and it just looks off to a lot of people. I don't really mind it. But when you pose it downward, then you kind of get a bit of a more neutral Shin Godzilla pose. They decided to go this route and make it elongated, kind of looking more like a crocodile. Yeah, it doesn't really suit it at all. Coming down to the torsos, pretty much is the exact same thing going on as the rest of the head was. As the NECA features a lot more of the defined details and features a lot better of a paint job, and actually features the infamous chest spike, while the Playmates simplifies that. I mean, it still has that really good detail, like you see the webbing on the arm, but it also cuts where the articulation actually was, because you can obviously see the wrist swivel where it was here, and the hinge where it was here on the elbow, but keeps the swivel here even though it's not a ball joint anymore. And also gets rid of the infamous chest spike. And even just pointing as far as like the frontal head on shot moving. Actually, no, I don't think we can really do that. It's abundantly clear that like this one doesn't really have as much of the red as this one does, and it's just overall executed a lot better on the NECA. And as well as like the claw paint, it's very simple here, but also features a lot of the red and the shading and whatnot. While this is just basic gray, no extra red to bring out some of the extra details, which, I mean, say that be. Moving on down to the thighs, the very thick thighs that Shin Godzilla is known for. And I think at one point was the thickest thighs before Ultima came onto the scene, proportionally speaking at least, to a Godzilla, because Heisei ain't got nothing on this dude. Again, it's mostly the same thing. The NECA has a lot more of the defined details going throughout the body and features a lot of the better like ridges and cuts in the movement, and overall having a lot better of a red wash because you got some like red divots down here and then a lot more of the red wash up here. It gets a little bit more mild, but once you get to the foot, it's all haymaker crazy. And again, you can't really see it too well on camera, but there is some good shading found on the claws versus the Playmates. While they only feature one splotch of red here and that's it, all the detail here is carried here, muted a little bit. Like if I had a dial, this would probably be about a 20 to 30% muted, at least in my opinion, as far as like overall, because it's definitely muted here versus here. And also features some of the most plainly painted claws literally of all time, because like it's just gray. And even on mine, where the paint kind of bled onto the foot a little bit. Yeah, not necessarily the best. And lastly, well, not lastly, moving on to the tails of the figures. Again, it's mostly the same thing. The NECA has a lot more of the better, kind of like even distributed paint, and has a lot better of the red wash versus the Playmates, where it takes the detail and simplifies it down and only features red in a few spots. Like here on the base, here's some red lines, nothing in this segment. Here we have some more red lines, and then it gets to that infamous tail tip. And again, the tail in particular should be proof that Playmates did take the mold from the NECA Godzilla, regardless if it was from Toho's permission, or they just took a NECA figure and rescanned it and sold it out for themselves because of that whole Walmart debacle. This is pretty much like definitive proof that it was a NECA mold. And the last part of the tail, just the tail, is the infamous tail tip. And the reason why I'm comparing it separately is because, in my opinion, I think the Playmates did it better than the NECA Bootleg did, and even maybe even the NECA original. Why? Because even though there is a little bit of bleedage, like right around here, as far as like where the tail is correctly painted, even though the whole figure should be painted like this, it just does it a lot better. It's more of a darker, accurate color, like it was in the film, and it just shows a lot more of the bone structure a lot better versus the NECA. Even though this is a bootleg, it's close to the original enough to where it looks so iffy. Like it has like these tiny little chunks, which I'm guessing are supposed to be like, I'm guessing it's supposed to be bone, but at the same time they they paint the other bone parts black. So why they paint this like yellow? It honestly just looks like corn stuck in poop. I'm sorry, that's literally what it looks like. But this and this, that doesn't really do it well. So if there's one thing that Playmates did better than the original NECA and even the bootleg, it's that they painted their tail tip better. And as you can see, going lastly to the dorsal plates, very different. Originally, when I saw the promo pictures of this guy, I thought he was going to feature the red inside of the fins. Nope. It's literally just on the outskirts of the fins, and that's it. There's no painting whatsoever in between the fins. While the NECA original, or even the bootleg, has red seeping through pretty much every part of the fins and kind of gives like an illuminating effect when you look at it from the side. And I think it's just done a lot better. However, this conversation would not be finished if we're not talking about this guy, which standing him correctly, because these guys' tails are like so long, I think that this is what this guy should have done. Keeping the outskirts, but also painting the fins like they are supposed to be. This guy, which is the V2 Playmates, by the way, just does it a lot better because it has the same mold as the NECA one does in the V1 Playmates, but also just features a lot more the painting as opposed to this one, which is just nothing. And while they're able to do this on here, but not this on there, which is a debatably bigger figure, is beyond me. So overall, for sculpt and paint, both of them share the same mold, but Playmates does use some different techniques and simplifies its mold in a lot of different areas, where it like removes the chest spike and also simplifies the plastic quality, gets rid of the membrane, and actually has a better tail tip. However, that's not in the grand scheme of things, and it's obvious which one's better, but hey, it's not about which one's like the better figure, it's just primarily comparing the two.